A while back, a viewer asked me if I could do a video on some ornaments. That's what we're going to work on today. We're going to make some primitive ornaments. This is going to be a new technique for me, in a way. First of all, I have laid out here some patterns. I just drew them out and then put them in my graphics program and cleaned up the edges a little bit. But we're going to do a gingerbread man, cardinal, mitten, primitive star, a bell, stocking, and if you remember my junk angel, well, we're going to do an angel ornament. And if you want to follow along, I did include the PDF for all of these shapes. That will be as a link in the description box below. So feel free to download that and craft along with me. I would love that. Some things that you're going to need: some scissors, paints. I'm using buttermilk, and for the cardinal, we're going to need some red, some yellow, and a little bit of black. This is black, it's folk art, and then this is a Joann's matte yellow. And then I have some burnt umber, and then some more barn red. Now for the mitten, I did not make a pattern for that because it will just be a rectangle, so you could just cut that out. The same with the stocking. It's just going to be a rectangle. That's just going to be for the cuff for each of those. And what's new today is I found in my stash all of this warm and natural batting. And I thought we would use that to make the ornaments. We will paint the ornaments, let that dry, and then we will coffee stain them to make them primitive. What I have here are a plate of beads, and what I did, they were kind of stark red. It was from an old garland from years ago, and I put them in a bowl and added some walnut stain and some antiquing wax and swished them around, and they dried to this. So pretty and so primitive. And there were some oddballs in there. We might be able to use those for something as well. We're trying to use up things, right? They kind of look like cherries. And then I have some rusty bells and some pins, whatever embellishments you want to use. And I'm sure there's something else, but we'll figure it out. The first thing I'm going to do is lay out the warm and natural, and then I'm going to use a marking pen to mark out the pattern, and I will be back for the next step. I wanted to show you how I'm laying this out on the warm and natural. There are 2 layers for each ornament. I will trace and then sew on my trace mark and then cut them out. That's how I'm going to do that. We'll put a slit in the back and turn them inside out, and then we'll paint. We've got our 2 layers of warm and natural batting. I've got everything laid out here, and I want to make sure that I can cut about 1/8 of an inch around. Now for the sock and the mitten, we'll leave that top open, and we're going to add that cuff to that. And we'll use some warm and natural for that. We'll paint those buttermilk, and then we'll paint the angel buttermilk as well. And here I'm just finishing up the gingerbread man. I've got everything marked, and I did scrunch them up a little bit. You just want to make sure you have that 1/8 of an inch around the edges. And now I've got another piece of scrap. I used to make those bowl cozies, and that's why I have all of this, and I don't make them anymore. What I'm going to do is pin each one as such. And what's fun about making these ornaments is you can make them your own. I'll take this to the sewing machine and I'm just going to sew right around my marks. I'm just back from the sewing machine and you can see where I've sewn each piece, and I just left it all on here to make it easier. And now what I'm going to do is just cut, like I said, 1/8 of an inch around. You just want to make sure you don't cut into where you've sewn. We should be able to use this for a cuff, but keep all these pieces. You can use them in your slow stitching. Okay, we've got all our pieces cut out. Before I slit the backs, I'm going to run an iron and remove our erasable pen marks. All of our marks are gone, and now is the time to turn them inside out. For the cardinal and the others, then you're just going to take, like this I know will be the front, so I want to go to the back. Just pinch and snip. And then reach in there and turn it inside out the best you can. And then we will whip stitch that closed. And this is the time you can decide, are you going to stuff your ornaments or just leave them flat? And I think I'm going to leave mine flat. And if you need to, grab a pokey tool. I just have a stick here. Get out all those corners. And then we will whip stitch that closed. And we'll do the rest the same way. If you want to stuff them, now would be the time. I think I'm going to leave mine flat because I believe when I paint them, let that dry and then copy stain them and bake them, they will really stiffen up. But this is the first time I've done these, so bear with me. But if you wanted to stuff them, I may still stuff the stocking and the mitten. So I'm going to go ahead and whip stitch these holes closed. It's now time to start painting our ornaments, and I am going to start out with these three because I know that they are all brown. And so I'll be using the burnt umber. Put on my gloves because I'm messy. This is the first time I've been painting on batting. So I think what I will do is spritz the ornaments with a little bit of water. I just have my little spritzer bottle here. I'm going to grab a large flat brush, and this is kind of firm. This is a 1/2 inch 1.5-inch flat brush. It soaks in really nice with the water, so that is good to know. And I just have a plastic mat down so I don't get it all over my table. And to embellish this one, we'll be putting a hanger on the top and a bell at the bottom. And this brush works really nice. And you want to make sure you get in those seams where you sewed. And then the seam on the back, just make sure you get in there. And our little gingerbread man, what I am going to embellish him with is a little homespun scarf and then 3 little bells. So we finished the three ornaments with the brown, and I hope you can see the texture here, but I am really loving that. And we'll get these dry, we'll clean up our brown, and then start on a new color. Look how pretty these are turning out. Finishing up the mitten here. There's our little cardinal up there, and yes, I did get some red on the beak. That's what happens when you work nights. Alright, we're finishing this up, trying to get the edges. If you do miss edges, don't worry about it because the coffee stain will get in there, so it'll be just fine. And this is the time you could shape it. If you wanted to do some shaping. Because when you bake them, they're going to stiffen right up. Alright, we need to get these dry. And then I'll get the red cleaned up, and then I'll be back to do the black and the yellow on our cardinal. Alright, we're going to try to make a simple black line for our cardinal. I like it. We'll dry that. Throw on some yellow very carefully. We'll dry that. And then I think what we'll do is we'll sew an eye with some embroidery thread right there. The last thing to paint is our angel, and we're going to be using the buttermilk. She will be embellished. I think I'll put some lace on her wings. I think that'll be pretty. I think I'm really enjoying painting. Don't do a whole lot of it, and I should do more. Yes, I like this buttermilk on here. And then the 2 rectangle pieces, the cuffs for the mitten and the stocking, will also be painted buttermilk. And I will cut those out and paint those off camera. And when we come back, everything will be dry and ready to coffee stain. Our ornaments are dry and we are ready to take it to the next level with our coffee stain. And then we'll do a little prim sprinkle. Throw it in the oven. I normally don't do ovens, but in the winter we have snow on the ground here in Wisconsin. So the oven it is. I'm very careful. I put it at 170 and I watch it. I open that door like every 3 minutes and I'm constantly flipping my pieces because I don't want anything bad to happen. So let's get these stained. I've got my staining brush. I have to roll up my sleeves because I'm completely out of disposable gloves. So I will have some stained fingers for sure. So let's get ready to make a mess. I already have a mess. So we'll get these all primmed up. Then we can embellish them. I'm still debating on whether I'll use a twine to hang them or wire. I really like the rusty wire look. Here's our cardinal. I really love this star. I think the shape came out really nice. And our cute little gingerbread man. I have all of my pieces on this baking sheet. On a piece of parchment paper. And we are ready to sprinkle. And I don't shake anything off until they are baked, because I want those spices to get down in there. Sometimes you gotta move them around. And just flip them over and do the other side. Yep, you can tell I'm a primer. Let's put these in the oven and get them dry again, and then we can embellish. All right, our ornaments have dried in the oven. And look how crispy they are. And so grunged up. Hopefully you can see that. Look at that texture. And our angel. The cardinal. Our little gingerbread guy. The bell. And our stocking and our mitten. I am so sorry, friends. I am missing footage for when I put the bell together, and also how I showed you to do the hanger. The hangers are 10 inches, and then I add 2 beads near the bottom, and then I twist the top.
If you have questions, just take a look at the rest of the footage, and if I need to, I'll jump in and explain a little more. And again, I apologize for that. And for the cuff, I simply placed it inside of the mitten, halfway down, and hot glued that in there, and then folded it over and added a button to each side near the corner. That's where we're going to place the hanger. Again, if you have questions, just feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll try to explain.
There's our button, and then I did grab some greenery. I have some oregano here that we could stick in there, and then you could put some red balls in there if you wanted. And those are really dried out. They've been in my kitchen. Okay, so, and then all that's left to do is to put our hanger on, and then we'll just throw some glue down in here to catch that. And then that will hang just like that. How cute is that? Next we'll work on our stocking, and again we needed the little piece for that. And maybe this time I will loosen it up a little bit. And we'll get that open. And we may need to cut off a little. Use my old scissors for that, right? So we're going to go about right there. And stick that down in there. And then we're going to pull that down. Okay. All right, and we'll throw some glue down in here. And very carefully fold this down. And I will warn you, this is going to be very stiff with all the baking that took place. Okay. And then we'll pull this back if we can, and this back a little. All right, we'll throw some glue underneath the front part of it. And then a little bit on the sides. And then I think I will throw a little bit of greenery in this one. as such. See if I can find another button here. Is there another one like that? This one doesn't match, but I think that's awesome. So we'll throw that one on there. And then we can't forget our hanger, so our hanger will go right down in here. And it'll hang as such. So we'll throw some glue down in that corner. And put that down in there and squeeze. And I know I keep saying it, but you can embellish with some ribbon. You could put some ribbon up here. Maybe we will add, if I can get it in there, is just poke a little hole in this corner of the stocking. Put a little glue in there. Just a little. And then just put the bell on there, like that. There we go. There we go. It has its finishing touch. And that one is complete. And then our gingerbread man, he has a hanger. We'll go in from the top. Put some glue in. And I think what I'm going to do for him is just take some of these bells for his buttons. And because he could be front or back, we'll have to put some on the back. Right? On this side, they're there, and on this side, they're there. But we are going with it. All right, and that one is complete. And then we have our star. And the star is pretty simple. We are just going to put a hanger in it. I like it just as it is. There we go. And I did forget something for the gingerbread man. I have this fabric that I found. I think I'll twist it a little. And then flip this over. And then if you wanted, you could tack that down with glue, but I think I'm just going to leave it. And then our angel, I think what I'm going to do for her, I have a little bit of lace here. So I'm just going to add a little lace. As such. How pretty is that? And then we can just glue her down like this. What a pretty ornament. And then all we need to do is put her hanger on. And she is all set. And I'm going to clean up here and then I'll show you how I'm going to hang them.
I just love how these ornaments turned out. They are oh so primitive. I grabbed one of my antique photo holders and decided to clip them on there. We don't have our Christmas tree up yet, so I can't hang them on there, but I'm sure they'll have a home there this year. I hope you decide to make some of these. I hope you enjoyed today's video. And until the next video, God bless. If you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button and smash that notification bell so that you never miss a video. And if you're returning, thank you so much. And if you have found value in this video, please like and comment.